Lost in the Woods, Part 3. The girl who fell in love with a stranger from another world. Tom woke up and found himself lying in the bushes beside a narrow path. His head felt heavy and throbbed with pain. For a moment, Tom wondered what had happened to him. He couldn't explain the bruises covering his body or the pain he was feeling. Tom slowly began to remember what had happened: the police officers beating him, the old man, and the edible roots. He slowly got to his feet and began to walk. He stood there for a moment, unsure which direction to take. Tom threw some soil into the air and followed the direction in which the wind carried the dust, a trick he had read about in books. He hoped it would work. He walked for hours through the seemingly endless forest. He met no one, only the sound of his own footsteps accompanied him. Tom came across a tree laden with wild oranges. He said a simple prayer, hoping the gods would not punish him for eating the fruit. He carefully sat on a rock and ate the oranges. He then prayed again, asking the gods to lead him home, before continuing his journey. After a short distance, he spotted an object lying beside the path, partially covered by grass. His pulse quickened. Maybe there was someone nearby who could help him, or worse, police officers who might mistake him for a criminal. Tom tiptoed towards the object, glancing behind him with every cautious step. As he got closer, he realized it was his bag. He had dropped it while following the white monkey. A ray of hope shone within him. Maybe he was close to the exit. He picked up his bag and drawing board. His pictures were undamaged. He whispered a prayer, thanking the gods of Chiyero Forest, and continued his journey. Meanwhile, Mary sat in a dimly lit hut, fear written all over her face. An elderly woman sat opposite her, looking straight into Mary's eyes as she listened to the story of her missing son. The old woman, Mbuya Mutamo, seemed unmoved by Mary's account. She simply coughed and took a small root from a bag behind her before handing it to Mary. "Take this root. Go home and call upon the gods of Chiyero Forest to bring back your son. Ask for forgiveness on his behalf, for he disrespected the gods. If you do as I say, your son will return home." Mary left the hut and walked back to her house. The house felt empty without Tom. She walked slowly through the hallway, looking at Tom's photographs. Tears welled up in her eyes, but then she remembered the old woman at the police station and quickly wiped them away. Back in the forest, Tom was still walking but could not find his way out. He came across a wide river, and his heart skipped a beat. He had never crossed a river when he first entered the forest. He was lost again. Tom sat on the riverbank, making sketches of the river and the setting sun. As darkness fell, the eerie sounds of the forest became another menace, but he had no choice except to endure the night. He found a large boulder with fine sand beneath it and, before long, he was fast asleep. The first rays of the morning sun filtered through the towering trees of Chiyero Forest, painting the forest floor with streaks of golden light. Birds sang cheerfully from every direction, while a cool mist floated lazily above the grass. Two young women walked along a narrow footpath that wound through the forest. Each balanced a clay water pot effortlessly on her head. The older one, Chipo, walked in front, humming softly to herself. Beside her was her younger sister, Matty, who quietly followed Chipo. The sisters were on their daily journey to fetch water from the sacred river. As they rounded a bend, Chipo suddenly stopped. "I need a moment," she said with a shy smile. Without waiting for an answer, she lifted the clay pot from her head and carefully handed it to Matty. "Hold this for me." Matty rolled her eyes. "You always choose the worst places." Chipo laughed quietly before stepping off the path toward a thick bush. She glanced around to make sure no one was nearby before lifting the edge of her dress. Just as she was about to relieve herself, something caught her eye. A figure lay motionless beside a large rock. Chipo immediately dropped her dress. Curiosity replaced embarrassment. She slowly walked closer. A young man lay unconscious on the ground. His clothes were dirty. His face was bruised. Cuts covered his arms. The morning sunlight shone directly across his face, making him look almost peaceful despite his injuries. Chipo gasped. She placed one hand over her mouth before giving a soft whistle. "What is it?" Matty shouted from the path. "Come and see." Matty hurried over carrying both water pots. "What now?" Chipo pointed silently. "I found someone." The two sisters stood over the stranger. Neither spoke. The only sound came from birds singing high above them. Chipo cautiously stepped forward. Before she could kneel, Matty grabbed her wrist. "Leave him." Chipo looked back. "Why? Do you know who he is?" Chipo shook her head. "No. Exactly." Matty folded her arms. "He could be one of those bandits people have been talking about. He may be pretending to be unconscious. He could be bait. Let's fetch our water and leave." But Chipo couldn't stop staring at the stranger. His breathing was shallow. His lips were cracked from thirst. "He doesn't look dangerous. He looks hungry. He needs help." Matty sighed heavily. "And where exactly do you plan to take him?" "Our home. You know father would never allow a strange man inside our compound. It's forbidden. It brings bad luck." Chipo smiled mischievously. "I'll think of something." Before Matty could argue, the young man coughed. His eyes slowly opened. It was Tom. He blinked several times before focusing on the beautiful face kneeling beside him. Startled, he tried to sit up. Pain shot through his body. He collapsed again. Chipo gently held his shoulder. "Easy. Don't force yourself. You're safe now." The stranger looked confused. His lips moved. "T." No words came out. "My name is Chipo." She smiled warmly. "What's your name?" The young man swallowed painfully. Tom." His voice was barely audible. "You need water." Tom nodded weakly. "I'll be back." Chipo hurried toward the river. The narrow path was almost swallowed by tall grass that brushed against her shoulders. Soon the path opened onto a beautiful clearing. A crystal-clear river flowed gently beneath towering trees. Stone steps led into a deep community well built beside the riverbank. Several clay pots were scattered around it. 5 village girls sat chatting on a nearby rock. At the center sat Matty, already telling everyone about the stranger Chipo had found. The conversation stopped instantly when Chipo appeared. No one spoke. The girls simply watched her. Chipo ignored them. She climbed down into the stone well, filled her clay pot with cool water, then quietly walked away. None of the girls said a word. But every pair of eyes followed her. Back at the rock, Tom drank greedily. Water dripped down his chin as he emptied nearly the entire pot. When he finished, he closed his eyes in relief. "I thought I was going to die." Chipo smiled. "Not while I'm here." "For the first time in days." Tom smiled. Back in Harare, Rex and his team reported for duty at the police station. They walked into Commissioner Ruger's office and saluted their boss. A picture of Tom was on the wall as a missing person reported. They exchanged awkward glances. "So you came back empty-handed," Raga began to talk. "We explored the forest, sir." "I didn't send you to explore the forest but to catch criminals and bring them here." Raga snapped before Rex could finish his statement. "I'm sorry, sir, but it was another mission failed. There are no people in the forest and no trace of the criminals," Rex explained. That's exactly why they are hiding there, they know that they are safe there. Your problem is that you always come back with useless explanations here. I want results here. Raga punched on the desk, the other officers shook with fear, but no one said anything. Another case is waiting for you. That boy disappeared 3 days ago into the forest. I want a task team to go to the forest and look for him. Or probably you and your team go back and look for the young man. Noted, sir, Rex answered. The police officers walked out of the office. The strange events at the forest still haunted them. Now another issue was unfolding. The boy they had beaten and took for a criminal was actually an innocent boy who got lost in the forest. Meanwhile, the Chiyero Forest that had once tormented Tom had become his home. He slowly recovered and gained strength. Although he still had no idea where he was, he no longer felt alone. Every morning Chipo secretly brought him food. Every afternoon they explored hidden parts of the forest together. Every evening they sat beside the river watching the sunset. Without realizing it, the stranger from another world and the girl from the mysterious forest had begun falling in love. One evening, the river reflected brilliant shades of red and orange. Flocks of birds flew overhead toward their nests. Frogs had already begun singing as daylight slowly disappeared. Tom and Chipo sat side by side throwing small stones into the calm water. Each splash sent circles spreading across the river. For several minutes neither spoke. Then Chipo broke the silence. Tom. You never finished telling me how you came here. Tom smiled. I don't think it's important anymore. She looked at him curiously. What do you mean? I got lost. I wandered through a forest. And somehow, I ended up meeting the most beautiful girl I've ever seen. He looked into her eyes. So maybe getting lost wasn't such a bad thing. Chipo laughed softly. You always know how to avoid my questions. Tom shrugged playfully. Maybe. She leaned closer until her lips were almost touching his ear. Promise me something. What? Promise you'll never leave me. Tom looked around at the endless forest. He laughed quietly. How can I leave? I don't even know the way out. Chipo smiled. I know the way. Tom stared at her. You do? She nodded. I could show you. She paused. But stay with me a little longer. Tom smiled. I'd like that. The two stood up hand in hand. Only now could anyone clearly see what Tom was wearing. Instead of his torn jeans, he wore a traditional dress Chipo had secretly given him after his clothes became too damaged to wear. He looked awkward. Chipo couldn't stop laughing. As darkness settled, the two quietly approached Chipo's homestead. Four identical round huts stood in a circle around a central fireplace. Outside one hut sat Chief Kutu. The old chief carefully carved a walking stick while staring into the fire. His face showed years of wisdom. Tom froze. That's your father? Chipo nodded. Don't worry. We'll sneak past. They tiptoed quietly behind him. Every step felt louder than thunder. Fortunately, the chief never looked back. The two disappeared inside one of the huts. Tom finally breathed again. The hut was dimly lit. A small oil lamp rested in the center of the room. Animal skins covered the floor. Tom sat down gratefully. Moments later, the door suddenly opened. Matty rushed inside. She stopped instantly when she saw Tom. Her mouth fell open. Before she could scream, Chipo placed a finger against her lips. Shoo. This stays between us. Father must never know Tom is here. Matty looked horrified. Have you completely lost your mind? You know strangers are forbidden here. Chipo folded her arms stubbornly. He isn't a stranger. He is Tom. My Tom. Do exactly as I say. Matty shook her head in disbelief. You're risking everything. I know exactly what I'm doing, Chipo insisted. Tom watched the sisters argue in uncomfortable silence. Wanting to distract himself, he reached into his bag and removed his mobile phone. He pressed the power button. Nothing happened. The battery had died. He connected it to his power bank. The screen slowly lit up. Chipo immediately moved closer. Her eyes widened. What is that? Tom smiled. A cell phone. You use it to make calls. She looked completely fascinated. You can talk to people inside that little thing. Tom laughed. Something like that. I wanted to call my mother. He checked the screen. Still no signal. His smile disappeared. There isn't any network. She must be worried sick. Chipo gently rested her hand on his. Don't worry. You have me now. Tom smiled sadly. Deep inside, he still missed home. The following afternoon, Tom sat on a large rock near the homestead. His drawing board rested across his knees. His pencil moved effortlessly across the page. Art had always helped him forget his problems. Not far away, Chief Kutu slowly walked toward the river carrying his carved walking stick. Suddenly, a thick tree branch broke off by itself. The loud crack echoed across the clearing. Chief Kutu immediately stopped. He slowly turned around. Tom's heart nearly stopped. He quickly curled himself into a ball behind the rock. For several 10 seconds, the chief stared into the trees. Finally, he continued walking. Tom let out a huge sigh of relief. He returned to his drawing. Unknown to him, soft footsteps approached from behind. Tap. Someone touched his shoulder. Tom jumped so violently that his drawing board nearly fell. Chipo burst into laughter. You frightened me. Tom held his chest. I nearly died. I've been looking everywhere for you, Chipo complained. I'm sorry. I just wanted somewhere bright enough to draw. It was too dark inside your hut. Chipo picked up the drawing board. Her smile slowly disappeared. The picture showed a young woman carrying a water pot toward a village. It was beautifully drawn. But it wasn't Chipo. It was Matty. She frowned. You drew my sister. Tom blinked. Yes. So? You should have drawn me. Tom laughed nervously. But she's your sister. I didn't think it mattered. It matters to me. I found you. I rescued you. She wanted to leave you to die. Tom immediately realized his mistake. I'm sorry. I honestly didn't mean to upset you. Before Chipo could answer, a deep voice came from behind them. What exactly is going on here? Both of them froze. Slowly, they turned around. Standing only a few steps away was Chief Kutu. And judging by the look on his face, he had seen far more than they had hoped. To be continued. If you like my stories, like, comment and share. If it's your first time on this channel, subscribe and turn on the notification bell.